Hi guys, welcome to the My Amazon Guy PPC AMA every Tuesday. Sorry we started a little bit late. Only 1 minute. Today I am joined by Matt Davis, who is an ads auditor here at MAG. I'm a brand director at MAG, and many of you will remember when this used to be Matt's podcast, and I have since inherited it. But welcome.
Thank you. Good to be back. Good to be back with you. Happy to join as a guest. So hopefully it's a good one.
For sure. Yeah, I don't have any questions right now. So definitely get some in. We do have a hard stop at 1 p.m. Just for everybody out there. But yeah, a few plugs. So share my screen. So we are still doing the mean image hack. So that's been a big point of interest lately as far as getting your listings ready for the holiday season now that we're into Q4. So definitely check this out. We've seen a lot of success with these. Also premium A+ content. Now you can have add to carts within your actual shoppable product grids. So we also offer that as a service. All of our services are listed here. We also do coaching calls, which are over yonder. So you can book one with me or whoever else you would like. That's kind of all my plugs for the moment. Anything you would like to talk about, Matt, as far as getting?
I remember they used to just ask me questions, and I used to answer them. I don't know. Do we have any? If there are any of you out there who would love to put us to the test, any problems that you're having with advertising related issues right now? Those of you guys who keep up with it know there's like a new tool every week to go over. So there's always some fun new stuff to dive into.
That's true.
Current thing I've been kind of geeking out on is the new campaign reports and advertising reports that allow for hourly breakdowns. So those are fun. You can always turn those into, pivot tables. You know, day parting, it's been around for a while now. People talk about it. And at this point, most of the paid software services like the Perpetuas, the PackViews, the Hands of the world, most of them have a day parting feature in their dashboard now where they will sort of do the work for you. And that's always nice. If you've got the means and you want to, pay for a nice software tool to make your dashboard a little bit nicer, your data a little bit easier to read and digest, that's always good. But if you're like me and you want to just use the free tools as much as possible and maximize the functionality of those free tools, advertising reports, along with this, I know you guys cover a lot on this podcast, the brand analytics tab, right? Like all you sellers should be like in there every day, at least like spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes playing around, just like, oh, okay, market demographic analysis. What's that? And just, okay, I see I've got it broken down by socioeconomic status and gender and all those things. Not every data set will be useful for every account, but it's good to just play around in that and understand that those things are there for you. So for me, I've been I think all the way back to when I was advertising director here, and I was talking about day parting, and we were waiting for that report, that hourly advertising report to come out forever. And they finally released it. I mean, it's not super new anymore. I think it's probably about like 2 months now, maybe a month or two it's been out.
Have you used the budget rules, like where you can technically day part that way?
Yes. So I did just start doing that with one of my clients for the first time in real use, other than a reporting sense, right? In a couple weeks ago, years ago. It's a product that is typically like an after sort of work. I would say like the happy hour on weekdays.
Yeah. So after the 9 to 5. Yeah.
But before they go to bed on a weekday, right? So you guys, that's the value of that, right? Like if you download that campaign report, right, it's going to give you a breakdown by hour, by date, when each ASIN is making sales, right? So some products, it depends on what you're selling, right? Some products, there's not going to be a discernible variance there between Wednesday at 6 and Saturday at 9.
Yeah.
Okay, great. But if there is, right? As Marissa mentioned, right, there is now an opportunity to actually, you can add a budget rule, a scheduling budget rule, right? Much the same as we have with the traditional budget rules for many years, right? Can't bid them down, have to bid them up. Amazon always wants you to spend more money, not less. But if you discern, let's say you're selling, right? Let's say you're selling ink and toner, right? For example. Well, people don't buy ink and toner, generally speaking, on Saturday morning, right? That's an in-office purchase. Tuesday at 9 a.m. is a great time to buy ink and toner, right? So run that campaign report. If you see data that signifies to you that, oh, okay, like more of the consumers that I care about, more of the shoppers that I care about tend to buy these types of products from 6 to 9 on weeknights, you can now first of all, see that, right, with your data, your product specifically. And then, as Marissa mentioned, you can actually make a budget rule to maximize on that. Okay, so, for example, right, okay, my normal budget for this campaign is going to be $20, but from 6 to 10 p.m. Mondays to Fridays, right, we're going to up that, and we're going to increase it 50%, whatever. And see if that, of course, always monitor the results, make sure the data is working for you. But
yeah.
Discernible impact on your sales. That's a huge addition. It's been around for for-profit people, software, for-profit software has had that tool for maybe a year now, but it's exciting that now every seller with access to advertising reports can do that. So.
For sure. It's something that I've been asked about for like months. And it's not great for everybody. You definitely do have to keep an eye on it, but I have been testing it myself on one account that sells like bathroom hand dryers. So it's one of those like B2B, pretty much exclusively 9 to 5 and no weekends. So
sure. Yeah. People buy it while they're at work.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So looks like we got some mornings.
Woo.
Hi, Roughliners. What's up? Dragos here.
Oh, Dragos! Greetings from Romania. Hey, thank you for the. Hey, I've been telling everybody the last time the mustache was in, it was like 1992, and I couldn't grow them. So I'm taking advantage. I feel like this train is going to come to a screeching halt.
In your Travis Kelce era.
Yeah, the Travis Kelce era is coming to an end, I think. But thanks, Dragos. It's great to hear from you again, by the way. My plan is to rock it through November, in support of Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. I'll probably get rid of it come December 1. But thank you. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Good to talk to you.
Thank you for the mustache update.
Of course. Hey, got to give the people what they want. Ooh, boom. Getting tips. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. And then we have hello from Dubai. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. I bet Dubai is a lot warmer than New Jersey right now.
I'm out in California. I know nothing about that. Nothing about those Jersey winters.
Must be nice. When comparing unit session percentage to a product's PPC, CVR, what relationship do you like to see, and what number difference might trigger you to act? What would be the best course of action if numbers are out of range?
Ooh, man. Giving us a tip and then coming straight with the heat.
He buttered us up first and then was like, here you go.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, all right, bam, 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 shoot you up. So I mean, to me, I'll let Marissa have a crack at this as well. She might have a different answer than me, but like to me, their unit session percentage is organic conversion. That's how I read it, right? So there's obviously going to be a lot of relatability there across those between PPC conversion and unit session percentage, which again, to me, the way I interpret it is organic conversion, right? Obviously there's going to be corollary in behavior, but I would look at sort of, is there a lot of variance? And then if there is, that would be what would sort of key me to sort of back into, okay, let me see if I can figure out why there's variance here, right? Because they should. So to answer the second part of your question, right? Like, I don't know if it's a number that would trigger me to act, because there's going to be a lot of context related stuff depending on what you're selling,
Yeah.
What
but as far as
campaign type is,
like you want to see like some type of consistency across the board.
Exactly. Right. So more than dialing in on a certain range. Yeah. You should see corollary of behavior. And if there's not, that should be a trigger to figure out why. Right. Like if there's not, okay, how come like I'm converting, my unit session percentage on this product or on this is gangbusters, but then over here I'm really struggling. Chances are it's right. It's behavior related, right? It has probably something to do with what you're targeting and how you're targeting it. But so that's to sort of go off of what Marissa said. Um, more than numbers, I would look for consistency. There should be corollary of behavior. There shouldn't be a lot of divergence between organic behavior and sponsored behavior, right? If there is, there's a reason why. What would be the best course of action if numbers are out of range? Yeah, I mean, play with it. I would start with the ad side because that's the data that's more easily manipulatable, right? That you can sort of play with and look for divergences. But so if they're out of range, I would, especially now they've got products tab, right? Like I would immediately just go into PPC and break it down by that product, right? So I, filter out the data, slice up the data so that you are only looking at that one product that you want to look at. Look at all the campaigns that you're running. Is there variance across, like, are they all showing roughly the same thing in terms of conversion, right? Or are there a few campaigns that are widely outside of the normal bounds compared to the others, right? It's the same sort of divide and conquer tactic that you'll take with any data, right? With any advertising data. You want to slice it up and look for threads to pull on that are anormal, right? So I would go and look at the product PPC that I'm running for that product in particular and see like where's the divergence in conversion by campaign. And then is there a reason why? Is it something I'm doing with targeting? Am I bidding more or less aggressively, right? Like you're looking to sort of back into a cause and effect play, right? Like you have the effect, you're seeing the result, and you want to back into that cause play. So just break it down. Like I said, I would go to the products tab and just break all those campaigns down under those products and look for the divergence in conversion.
I agree with that. I think that was a really high level, good answer.
Thanks.
Great to see Matt again on MAG.
Good to be back.
Where have you been? It's been almost a year.
Karen, thank you. Karen was like one of my most regular, never missed an AMA.
Never.
So good to hear from you. Karen, so I've been doing a couple things. I've been consulting with some other agencies. I did start my own little solo consultancy. Nothing to the size and splendor of MAG, right? MAG's got a huge 300-person agency, whatever, 300 plus clients. I run a little solo consultancy. I help coach other small agencies, other advertising experts, and I do have a few of my own, we'll call them like very small brands, right? They're more mom and pop brands. So I run my own consultancy here out of my home, and then I still have a lot of great relationships. So I consult with other agencies. I stop in and do guest speaking on some other agency stuff. And then I'm actually consulting for MAG here to do some auditing on their advertising accounts too. So I do a little bit of everything. But I'm still out there, Karen. I'm still, you can come find me on LinkedIn. We'll have a chat.
So busy. Such a busy bee. Hi guys, I have an auto campaign running for 2 months, bids around suggested bid or above, but only 15 search terms showing. Product is a supplement. How can I improve this?
Okay. That's so only 15 search terms showing.
Do they mean like?
Well, that's in the search term report, right? But Yvonne, that search term report's only going to generate impressions where you had an engagement. So I wouldn't look for, like, when you're trying to discern traffic, like how much awareness is my campaign getting, I wouldn't go all the way down to the search term report. So now if you're trying to pull out new search terms to manually target, yes, I see what you're saying, right? That can be confusing because yes, only having 15 search terms would be a problem, right? That's not really enough data to pilfer. But to me, again, without seeing your campaign in front of me here, what that suggests is you need to back up one level to the targeting tab area and see, like, okay, what are my actual impressions? So if this is an auto campaign, right? Like, what are the impressions for close match, loose match, complement, and substitute, right? Is there a difference between them? Because the impressions, right, you can view that as your best estimator of reach, right? That means your ad was displayed, doesn't mean they necessarily saw it or engaged with it, but it was there during a search, right? So that's the first thing I would figure out. Only 15 search terms after 2 months. To me, that suggests that your traffic is low, which can be one of two things. Either your bids are too low, which if it's you're around the suggested bid, I tend to think that's probably not the problem. Or, let's see. So bids are too low, or, oh, whoa. Sorry, my my computer just popped up with my screensaver here. Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, so bids are too low, or maybe you need budget, or one of those search types maybe needs to go up. It might be that your product itself doesn't have a lot of traffic, or the auto campaign doesn't know where it is or what to show.
Maybe like the listing, like what do you like your bullets look like? What does your SEO look like? Yeah. I like, if you want to drop an ASIN, we can look at it. But that's what I would be curious about.
And the other thing you want to look at, Yvonne, is suppressions, right? So if you are at the suggested bid, because auto campaign is a wide net, right? So if you're at the suggested bid, your conversion might be crap, but you should be getting impressions, right? So what that could also mean is, yeah, as Marissa said, if your listing is, if it's not well developed, or if there's some other reason where Amazon suppressed you, search suppressed you, that could also be a reason.
Check your category, so like your tree. So if it's broken, or if it's like shortened, that can be cause for hidden suppression. So maybe that's why you're not showing. But there's probably something else going on here. I don't know if it's, like you said, only bids and that kind of thing, impressions.
Yeah. So I would, Yvonne, look at your impressions, right? Are you getting enough impressions? And for 2 months for an auto campaign, assuming you're running all 4 match types, right? If you're running all 4 of the match types, you should at least, assuming you have like a, I don't know, $10 or $20 day budget, you should have impressions in the tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands for 2 months, right? So if you have been running that campaign for 2 months and your impressions are in the hundreds, or even in the 4 digits, right, the thousand, there's probably something going on there. And I doubt that it's bid if you're at suggested bid. Again, unless it's just like it's a new listing or a new product where Amazon doesn't really know what it is and there's not much indexing history. That's about the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
But yeah, so start with, because 15 search terms, that becomes relevant when you want to sort of pilfer that for manual campaign data, right? Targeting data. But if it sounds to me like you need to figure out like the traffic issue first, and that is actually not really solved at the search term report level. That's at the targeting level.
Agree. From John, Matt Davis has a stash now.
That's 2 comments for the stash.
Yeah, you're making his head bigger than it needs to be. Hi from Amazon Unboxed.
Hey, dude, I'm jealous. I was almost gonna go there.
John didn't extend the invite.
Yeah, I probably would have gone. Happy to hear from you again, John. Yeah, I think maybe if you guys have me back on the next one, I'll just spend the first 10 minutes just brushing the stash for you.
Don't.
He's like, well, please. Gotta give the people what they want, Marissa. Come on.
Maybe, yeah. Didn't I joke with you? I was like, oh, my viewership is gonna skyrocket today.
Yeah. Clearly, the stash has got a mind of its own.
I guess so. Okay, next question. As a benchmark reference, what is a good conversion rate in any SP campaign for a new private label brand, i.e. not a big name that sells on brand name as well? Category is fitness and health. So I don't know if you can exactly pull that number out of thin air, but there was more context given. SQP report for October 1st to the 7th is showing 203 units purchased from my SKU, but for the same period under SKU economics, there are 400 plus unit sales. So maybe that's a different question. We can go back to this one.
Yeah, those are 2 sort of related but different questions. Okay, so as a benchmark reference, hi Rosina, by the way. I love this question. It is ranges, and anytime, right, we're asking these like big general broad questions, it's always context specific, right? And I used to joke about this, right? As an advertising expert, you can always say it depends and be right. It's one of my favorite. I'm a big nerd. One of my favorite. Anyway, so you can always say it depends, but I would say to get into, right, it's going to depend really on your economics, right? So the conversion rate matters because, right, you've got a certain landed cost, right? And you've got a certain amount of margin per unit. And you need to sort of get your ACOS, right, to be profitable. You need to generate a sale in under that amount of margin. right? So you need a certain amount of clicks, a certain amount of bites at the apple to do that. And your conversion rate is right. How many clicks do I need before I generate a sale? So as long as you can be profitable, almost any number will do. But generally speaking, for this question, in an SP campaign, in a fitness and health category, I started in supplements and fitness and health, right? So I have a really, I would say, a better frame of reference for this category than most other categories on Amazon. For me, any product that I was trying to bring out, if I couldn't at least get it to 5% conversion, it was a loser product. Right now, plenty of ways to skin that cat, right? You can change your image, you can play with the price, you can do SEO and A+ content updates, as Marissa and my Amazon guy just talked about at the top of the hour, right? Click-through rate, improving your relevancy and making your images, sexier. That will always help you, right? But at the end of the day, once you get them there, you have to have an offering that people like enough, right? That's, getting them there. That's part of the advertiser's job. Once they're there, now it's kind of the job of the product to be good or at least appealing enough, right? So that's why conversion is the trickiest problem to solve of any of the funnel, because it's got the most points of contact, right? The most things that can affect conversion rate. But I would say at least 5%. If you can't get above 5%, you're really going to struggle, right? Because that means you need 20 clicks or more for each sale. Clicks start to get expensive, right? The dollars add up, right? Typically, again, and we're talking SP, right? Broad general numbers, don't hold my feet to the fire, right? And I would say another caveat here is total sale price under $100, right? As once you get beyond $100, people shop in a different way, right? Think, Rosina, if you're going to buy a fridge, right? You might go and start your search on Amazon, but you're probably not clicking the first ad you see there, right? Because it's like $1,200 or $2,000, like whatever it is, right? You're going to go, all right, let me go research. Let me see if there's a coupon on Best Buy, like whatever, right? And then come back maybe a week later. If it's still the best price for the thing you want, then you might buy it. But so with supplements, we're talking under $100. It's mostly like, I want fish oil. I see fish oil. I buy fish oil, right? So with those caveats, and again, speaking very high level, I would say at least 5%, or you kind of have a loser product that you need to sort of solve why is this product losing right now, right? Once you get beyond 20%, right? Once your conversion goes over 20%, then I would say that probably means you're now leaving sales on the table and you're doing really well. And you actually need to expand your target, right? And actually touch more people. Again, depends on the individual economics of your product, your landing cost versus what you can sell it for and what you're selling, right? And what your conversion rate is. But once you approach 20%, 1 out of 5 clicks, that means you have a really, really compelling offering, and you probably need to spread it out, like spread your seeds to more potential customers. So to wrap all that talk up into a very nice bow, I would say, generally speaking, anything lower than 5%, you're in trouble. Anything higher than 20%, you're leaving sales on the table.
Yeah.
Sorry, it took me 30 minutes to say that.
It didn't, but I think that was a good explanation. Okay, so I will circle back to question number 2, but I really do like this question. How often would you get a client with just 1 SKU and 2 colors, so 2 SKUs? Does it make it for an easy account to deal with for PPC and SEO? I have my own opinion on this, but if you want to give yours first.
No, go ahead. I feel like I've been talking a lot lately. Why don't you start with this one?
So I would actually argue that this makes it harder, honestly, because we have, clients here at MAG that, only have, 1 hero product sometimes, and it can get really challenging to find, new opportunities, for that listing. You can scrape the SQPs as much as you want to sometimes, and you do have to get a little bit creative sometimes with what you're going after, and it's not always going to show up in your SQP first before, you know what I mean? Like it's not always like a find it later. Sometimes you have to reinvent the wheel a little bit and position yourself a little bit differently. One of my favorite examples, and I think you'll get a kick out of this, is we have a jewelry client. They're still with us, and they sell like different colored bracelets and stuff. So I started doing like Taylor Swift Eras Tour, like keywords and stuff like that, and they show up in our SQP now, and you get purchases on them.
Oh my god! You can't escape Swift. She is literally everywhere.
But use that to your advantage. There are definitely ways that, you know what I mean? If you're in tune to what's going on outside of just Amazon and how people actually search and what they're looking for, you can make some money off of that, off the
No, that's really brilliant.
Swifties.
What Marissa's touching on there is, you know, sort of the putting yourself in the consumer mindset and backing into like, how would I shop for this, right? Like understanding, right? Like the Swifties having a cultural moment right now, and hey, can I capitalize on that for my kids?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So yeah, even though, God, I just want to watch my football, man. I don't need to see Taylor Swift. I didn't pay to see a Taylor Swift concert. I paid to watch football game. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. We're moving on. No, I kind of would agree. I think that one of the conversations I regularly have with clients is, yes, you need to be advertising, but no, you don't need to be advertising every single SKU. And you certainly probably should not be advertising every single SKU with the same level of intensity, focus, and resources, i.e. money behind it, right? It's the classic 80-20 rule. It applies here the same way it applies everywhere else, right? Find the products that drive your revenue and maximize those. And if there are things that you can do, i.e. a product grid on A+ content or whatever, that pull up some of the maybe the less popular or less desirable products in your catalog, great. And also depends on what you're selling them at, right? Like if you've got the margin to, you know, to break out and do a full blitz on every single SKU variant of color, size, and whatever else, then more power to you. But yeah, so like with the color thing, right? It's the same thing with like size. As Marissa mentioned, you want to do some SQP and a little bit of general research, right? Like, are there search volume sort of drives everything we do, right? It's the consumer behavior that we're trying to capitalize on. So what are people searching for? So what I would say is getting really finely detailed in terms of how you split out targeting with colors or with size or with any sort of SKU variant, child variant. Is there volume to support that? Meaning, I'll give you an easy point of contact. We used to have a client at My Amazon Guy, I don't know if they still do, that sold shirts and wristbands and all sorts of things for various causes. So, you know, holidays, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, you know, leukemia, Lou Gehrig's disease month, right? And you know, think of back in the day when Lance Armstrong was like a big deal, right? And had the Live Strong bracelets, stuff like that. Different organizations used to sell to raise money for their various causes. So we had a client like this, right? Obviously, on Breast Cancer Awareness Month, pink matters as a color, right? You need a separate strategy that sorts the pink SKUs out from all the others and has an entirely separate strategy that focuses on that, right? Is that always the case? No, right? It depends on, and again, sort of what Marissa was touching on, right? Like step back from the data for just a second and put yourself in the role of a consumer. Does the color matter to you? Does it matter generally? And then you can look at the data, right? Don't go off just your supposition, but like look at the SQP and other stuff to support your hypothesis. But that's really what determines how much attention you need to dive into to all the various child variants, whether they be of color, whether they be of size, whatever they are. Is there search volume that warrants you giving them special attention?
Yeah, I think that's fair, especially with like seasonality sometimes too. So like orange, like for like Halloween, like you wouldn't use those same keywords for like a white variation or something like that, right? So I think that's kind of like what you're talking about as far as like what attention consists of.
Would I be searching for trucker hat or black trucker hat? Not me individually, but the masses, right?
Yeah.
If lots of people are searching for black trucker hat individually, you need to have a strategy to target that separately. Right?
Exactly. I'm getting a lot of SQP questions today. Sorry.
That's good.
I love them. So
me too. I think SQP is the biggest tool that Amazon has added in the API, and basically since they added like the advertising manager that we see here that came about in like 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
Search Query Report, folks, if you guys haven't, it's a really big deal under brand analytics. If you are a brand registered brand selling private label stuff, brands, brand analytics, spend some time in that search query tool. Change your life.
Change your life. Okay, so circling back. So Showing 203 units purchased for my SKU, but for the same period under SKU economics, there are 400 plus unit sales. Why the difference? This might be more of a catalog or like troubleshooting.
Yeah, that is, I mean, so you'd have to ask someone with like access to Amazon's backend data to give you sort of a definitive answer.
There could be
Like
a delay. Like I know sometimes there's like the
attribution for
14-day.
sure.
Yeah. So there's like a 14-day window. But being that it's the 24th now, if this is something you just checked, this might be a ticket.
Yeah, so that's kind of where my mind goes is attribution. There is a delay, right? There's a 7-day window for SP and SB, or for SP, and there's a 14-day window for SP and SD. So that could be, and it could just be some sort of delay or skew in reporting. I don't really feel like any answer that I would give you, Rosina, would be an educated guess because I am not able to access that backend data and give you
a coaching call, myamazonguy.com.
Yeah.
But we can actually look at it, so that might be more helpful to your question.
Ultimately, Rosina, though, if you want to know which is the true number, go and look at your, when you look at your payments, your balances, and look at what you're actually receiving money for, what you're actually paying out for. Obviously, right, the dollars that actually end up in your account, right? Does it account for 400 plus unit sales or 203? That's where you're going to want to go to find the truth.
Agree. Okay, let's do this one. Hi, Matt. As the Grandmaster Black Belt in PPC, you guys gotta stop.
Yeah, no, and I think there are Grandmaster Black Belts in PPC, but I don't know that I'm one. Like that's
pretty good.
The Elizabeth Greens of the world, they
are. You just don't have to tell him he's that good.
I appreciate it. I'll try.
I asked before, but no one knows. For PPC on Amazon, with attribution via Google, tracking at the keyword level, what's the best software to use?
That's
I'm not sure.
That's tough. I don't know, because so to answer that question, I feel like you have to have had sort of not just touched, but significantly used all of the ones that are available, and I have not. So candidly, the ones that I like, to me, I really like Perpetua and PackView. Those are two of my favorite data tools, just generally. I think they've got their day parting windows are the best, I think. I know you're looking at attribution. Most of the agencies that I've seen that do it the best, I'll be honest with you, Blaine, use AMC, Amazon Web Services, and make their own custom dashboard. Software attribution, because the problem is, right, if you try it with two different datas or two different softwares and you get conflicting data, where do you go to arbitrate what's the real number and what's not, right? So you take it with a certain grain of salt, and especially with attribution, right, where you're talking about Google or Facebook to Amazon, right? Anytime you're talking about data crossing over platforms, number one, I want to wait a little bit longer if I can. And number two, I'm going to check it more than once because I don't trust it as much. For me, it's like I said, I like Perpetua and PackView. My suspicion is you could probably find a bunch of tools that would work. But again, with attribution, no one source is going to give you the answer that you're looking for, Blaine. So even if you have a data dashboard, right? Let's say you're using a for-profit tool, whatever, right? You're still going to want to look at that data and then cross-reference that. Like if it's Google data, I would still be going back to my Google Analytics and double checking and seeing okay, does that at least roughly approximate what my software tool is telling me? Same thing with the attribution, right? When I go to Amazon, right? What is Amazon's data telling me about what they're seeing? And how does that match up with my software? And if there's large discrepancies, that's when my sort of radar will go up. If it's close, what you're trying to, right, the name of this game is maximizing trends. So you're looking for threads to pull on, good or bad, and then you're trying to maximize those. So you can still do that without being exact. But I don't think there's one right or wrong answer. They're all getting better all the time. I still, with attribution data, what you just asked, by the way, Blaine, the definitive answer to that question, if you know it, is going to make you a lot of money, because that's the problem that every advertiser is trying to solve right now. Every advertiser. Everybody sort of understands that, okay, even Amazon understands, right? That's the why behind all these tools being added, right? We went, for those of us who've been on Amazon for a while, went like 3 or 4 years where nothing really changed on Amazon ads. And then all of a sudden, all this stuff started changing. They even understand that, okay, this is an omni-channel world. We need to play nice with others. We can't be the Apple of e-commerce where we're not going to play nice with others anymore, right? So everybody understands that omni-channel is sort of the wave of the future, right? The ability to reach your audience on social and on your D2C website and on Amazon and blah, 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 blah. And you need to be able to understand how you're doing on each of those channels, right? Which is where that data comes, the attribution data comes in. So if you've got a clean, concise, really efficient answer that works, Blaine, you might want to think about starting a business, sir, because that is the problem that everybody in our industry is trying to solve effectively right now. No one's really done a great job of it yet. So like I said, my favorites are like Perpetua and PackView. They're not cheap, but those to me have the best suites of tools. But even with those tools, I'm still going to go back and look at my actual Google AdWords analytics data. And I'm still going to go into my Amazon advertising campaign manager. And I'm going to look, okay, it doesn't need to be exact again, right? We're talking attribution across platforms. But is this at least closely representing what my other tools are showing me, right? So lots of data from lots of different sources. And then at the end, it's going to have to be something of a gut call about what you believe.
Yeah, I think it's a good answer. Better answer than I could have given. So
certainly not the only answer, right? Like that's just my one man's opinion.
But that's why they asked you. They want your opinion. So, all right, are we ready for a long one?
Ooh.
Are you ready?
I don't know. Was that not a long one? Okay, sure. Fire it at me.
3-parter, it looks like. Hey, Mag, specific actionable PPC strategies and tips when it comes to advertising for supplements. ACoS tends to be high. Clients are always worried / concerned. So how do we factor in their true break-even ACoS since customers tend to buy more than once? What's the best way to advertise supplements to keep decent ACoS but increase new customer count? And then, yeah, specific actionable strategies to advertise apparel or fashion. Never done this before. Is there something unique about apparel advertising? Also, there's a bullet point character limit in apparel. Lots of questions. This first.
Okay.
Supplements.
Specific actionable PPC strategies when it comes to advertising for supplements. Okay, so ACoS tends to be high. Karen, a lot of this. So if I were to start a supplement brand today, so the answer to this question starts like, okay, where am I starting in the process? If I'm making a new product or I'm thinking about bringing a product to market in the supplement space, especially on Amazon these days, the number one thing I'm going to first focus on, Karen, is can I sell it for at least like $40 or $50 or more? Because as I'm sure you know, right, supplement space, the cost per click is astronomical. The competition is fierce, right? The days where I made my hay selling supplements back in 2016, where I was like stumbling through it and didn't know what the heck I was doing and still managed to be successful, like that doesn't happen in 2023, right? Most people who do what I did in 2016 would end up flat on their back. So understanding that, right, anything in PPC related to supplements, it's going to be fierce competition, lots of people selling similar to exactly the same of what you're selling, right? There's not any new supplements under the sun, really. So it's going to be somewhat of a branding play. So that's the other thing is, can you sell it? Because if you're selling supplements at $19, I'll tell you, it's going to be very, very challenging unless it's a big brand or something that you're working with that already has brand share recognition. If you're selling like, oh, I want to sell vitamin C for $19.99 a bottle, good luck, because the cost per click is going to be $11, and there's going to be 1,300 other sellers that are selling the exact same brand. You're never going to get into page 3, let alone page 1, right? So that would be the number one thing is, can I sell this product competitively? Meaning I'm not the only guy. I'm not the one guy asking for $89.99 when everybody I'm competing against is asking for $39.99. Can I competitively sell this product for at least $40 or $50, right? If yes, that's great, because that's going to give me some margin to play with in advertising, right? Assuming my landed cost isn't crazy, right? But that is typically an advantage of supplements is you can there's a market-wide sort of understanding that you can add a lot of value on the total sales price from the actual what it costs you to make the ingredients, right? So can I sell it for a price that's high enough to where I can even be competitive on the advertising side? That's really important, right? Also, understand that it's a branding play. You're not reinventing fish oil, my guy, right? Fish oil's been done, did, right? So if you're going to sell fish oil, cool. I'm not saying don't sell fish oil, but understand that you're not the only guy selling fish oil. So, right, understand before you get to outlaying all the expense and before you ship all that product to Amazon, why are people going to buy your fish oil, Karen, and not my fish oil? And if you don't know the answer to that, spend some time thinking about that before you undergo the cost of sending them to market, right? So why? Well, my fish oil is really special, right? It's been removed of all mercury and it's the highest grade fish oil. Cool. So what that is, that's a premium. You're selling quality, right? So that's going to be your USP. Cleanest ingredients. Okay. So now you know that that's your USP. That needs to be front and center, like in a way that an idiot can understand in 3 seconds or less, right? So that needs to be, I am premium with the best ingredients, needs to be obvious in your label, in your imagery, right? I'm talking the bullets, right? Steven says the bullets are for the bots, and he's right, right? If I have to read about it, you already lost me. I'm already going to the cooler image with the lower price over here, right? So understand what it is, what's your USP, right? And then strategies to come to market. So with supplements, chances are that hero keyword exact is going to be really effing expensive. Like probably the point where you can't, right? It's like you're an amateur boxer and you can't take on Mike Tyson your first fight out, right? Like you have to work your way up to that. So bid on those key behaviors, but bid way below what is going to be competitive, right? Because you still want to signal to the algorithm that yes, I am fish oil. I'm trying to, that's what I am. I want to be shown to fish oil customers, but I can't pay $11 per click, right? So I'm gonna
and you don't always have to. Like
right.
you can get sales by not always just following the suggested bid. Like it's a suggestion.
Especially in the beginning.
If you're still getting a bunch of impressions, and your ACOS is
really
still like astronomical, you can afford to, reduce that bid a little bit.
That's a really great point. So it's sort of related, Karen, but I know that Marissa touched on this actually on the last AMA, right? Which is suggested bid is based on what Amazon thinks you are when you start a new campaign and what it thinks the traffic is. A lot of times with a new campaign, it doesn't really know. It's guessing. So it can be wrong, right? So the suggested bid, it's to give you a framework. But to Marissa's point, if I'm actually getting impressions and actually getting clicks and I've got 100 clicks and my average CPC is 35 cents, that's the bid, right? That's the bid. Forget the suggested rate, right? Like that's my actual data telling me that that's what it costs me. And then the other thing is going back to strategies, right? I've been sort of parroting this a lot. I'm like that. It's kind of, I'm the way I am with ad strategies. I'm kind of like how I am with music, where you get on one thing, and you're like, oh my God, this is the jam right now. So my jam right now, Karen, is auto catch-alls. I've really been enjoying auto catch-alls. And this is a great strategy for this, right? Which is, all right, I'm a supplement seller. I've got 30 supplement products. I have no idea which one is going to be the most profitable, no idea which one to focus on, no idea which one's going to be the most competitive or price or expensive to like bring to market, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the most meat and potatoes of all campaign types, SP, auto, all match types, right? I'm going to dump all my active products into the same campaign. I know. You can't use your search terms. It's going to be dirty, right? I know. All your products into the same campaign. All match types. You start with very low bids, right? Because you're casting a very wide net. You're saying all automatic match types for all my targets, right? All my keywords or all my products means every keyword which could be related to any of my products could potentially be targeted, right? So you're casting a really wide net. So whatever the suggested bid says, go below that. Like to give you an example, a typical auto catch-all that I would start with like a wholesale product, like let's say I'm selling like Nike products or Lysol, like products where the brand is already known, right? I would start an auto catch-all at seriously like close match 15 cents, loose match 10 cents, complement 5 cents, substitute 2 cents, which is the minimum bid, right? And then to Marissa's point, come back a couple days later, what do my impressions look like? am I getting any impressions? If I'm only getting 10 impressions, then what that tells me is, oh, okay, my bid is still too low. I'm not even competitive enough to get in the room yet. Let me take that 15 cents to 25 cents, and I'll take that 10 cents to 20 cents, et cetera, right? And I up those bids until you start to see it accumulating traffic, right? Impressions and clicks. The great thing about an auto catch-all is it will cast a really wide net. And because that net is so wide, usually your individual winning bid will be very, very cheap because the relevancy is going to be low, right? So that's a way of sort of like, you're just sort of very cheaply like casting your seeds into the wind everywhere, which typically is not the best strategy. But with this, because you're keeping your bids and therefore your cost really low, and it's only one campaign, the objective is to get a lot of traffic and a lot of engagement very, very cheaply, right? So then, yeah, you can go back and look at the search term reports. Yes, they're going to be dirty, right? They're going to be mix and match of all your different products, but you'll still be able to get a sense of, okay, where are the centers of gravity related to search terms, right? Related to, okay, which search terms are generating the most volume? And is there any search term that's generating an abnormal amount of engagement, clicks?
Yeah. And you can sort it by ASIN too. So that's great for supplements because you're going to see a lot of words that may not be applicable to everything.
Yes.
So.
But so that's another thing I like is the auto catch-all, to try that. And then to summate, right? You target a lot of different things, but understand, Karen, that especially at first, know what have an understanding ahead of time of what my USP is and what my landed cost is, meaning, okay, I have to target fish oil, but I know I can't spend more than $2.50 a click. So that's going to be my bid, even if the suggested bid is like $12, right? And you just, okay, I'm going to target that. I know I'm probably not going to get many bites at the apple. I'll get my traffic.
Yeah.
With the lower cost stuff.
And then for this part, I think tacos here might be a better metric to kind of go after. That's my opinion, but I have a lot of clients who, when they talk about break even, they're talking about like their total costs and not so much advertising exclusively. So, this break even could be, anywhere from like 10%, 15%. That's kind of the ideal, like tacos, I feel like, for profitability while still maintaining some growth. Anything under 10% is kind of like, you're not really growing. And then as far as like keep decent ACoS but increase new customer count. So you can actually look at customer loyalty analytics because I was thinking about your question from last week. And then like 3 days later, they came out with this new brand analytic feature.
I was just going to do that.
So this is what it looks like. So you have all of these audiences here. You can go after these audiences in brand tailored promotions specifically. So that's one way to tackle this. And then you can also look on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly basis what your subscribe and save or repeat customer outlook kind of looks like from the previous like time point. So from the quarter before, year before, week before. So we can see Age of Sage is acquiring a lot of new customers, but his repeat purchase rate is dropping a little bit. So this is also a nice little indicator for you to be able to visualize this. They've got some fun little charts, which is kind of nice. So anything you want to add to that?
I was literally going to do this exact thing, was just show this customer loyalty analytics because it just came out, and I watched your last episode as well, and I was like, that'd be a good one if it comes up again. The other thing I would say, Karen, is a stat that Mina Elias from Trivium really likes, and I really like it too, and that's cost per session.
Yeah.
So that's another way to sort of suss out if you are sort of increasing your organic footprint on Amazon, right? Cost per session, which, right, sessions, an organic stat, right? But if you look at how much you're spending on ads in relation to sessions, that will give you a very broad sense, sort of like, all right, in terms of awareness and engagement, which is really what advertising is buying, right? Eyeballs, interested eyeballs. How am I doing? Right? For my spend, for my total spend, is that leading to more organic awareness less organic awareness over time, right? Cost per session is a great metric to help you suss that out. So I like that. Another little tip you can try.
Definitely. Okay. I do want to kind of rapid fire some of these because we are coming up on time.
Right.
So let's quick some strategies or tips on how to re-rank a product and restart a PPC campaign for a product that went out of stock. So would you even like restart campaigns? Would you kind of let them just like refresh with like all the new inventory?
No, if they're successful, I would restart them. Yeah, campaigns have indexing history the same way listings do. So I wouldn't seek to reinvent the wheel. The only thing is, obviously make sure that you've got the stock to continue, right? So you don't run into this position again in 3 or 4 weeks, right? So make sure your supply chain is ready to go. And then, like I think generally my strategy in advertising is target liberally, bid conservatively, and I think that you just sort of lean on that for this, right? Meaning, there's probably going to be some new behaviors and some new things that you want to target. Target a lot of stuff, but just keep your bids and costs low, and then let the data guide you to what's successful.
Okay, good answer. Next rapid fire. What could be the reason of huge drop in sales while the ad spend is consistent? Sales go down while ad spend remains high. This does not signify suppression to me if your ads are still spending money. But this could just be like a seasonal kind of event. So when I say seasonal, I don't even necessarily mean like summer, fall, winter. We're seeing across the board some decrease in sales because it's right after the fall prime event. So sometimes it's even like buying seasons, right? So from now until Black Friday, you might kind of see this trend where like people are kind of looking around, but maybe like waiting out, for next month and that kind of thing. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, Jeffrey, get specific on the type, where in the funnel the problem is, right? So huge drop in sales means your traffic, your awareness dropped, meaning you're getting less impressions than you used to. Your clicks, your engagement dropped, you're getting less engagement than you used to, or your sales, your conversion dropped, right? Sounds like this is probably sales conversion. Dig into the campaigns. What specific behaviors changed the most? Right? Is there a given set of search behaviors that changed, certain campaigns that changed, right? Get specific. Like you're looking at the top level and, huge drop in sales where ad spend is consistent. Dig into that, right? Where is the ad spend staying the same, but the performance and the return has fallen off? Get into individual campaigns and you got to reverse engineer what the problem is, right? So what is the keyword or targeting behavior that used to be killing it and now is sucking it up? That will shed a lot of light, right? So you got to sort of get down into the weeds and reverse engineer it.
Cool. And then as a new in the market, a lot of China sellers, their prices are too low. So how to handle this price difference in sales of new products? I love this question. This is kind of like a listing question, but if you want to.
Yeah, I would say that volume plays are very, very tough to win against the Chinese sellers. So if you find yourself in that battle, think about what you can offer that is more challenging for them, i.e., you might want to pivot your USP. There's that phrase again, unique sales proposition, towards something that's a little bit more of a premium, right? Something that's quality. Even if the product doesn't change, you can still change how you market it, right?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, changing to try and beat a Chinese seller on price.
You're not playing the same game. Like you're just not even in the same league at all. It's not even, So I think you have to have a different angle here, kind of like what Matt's saying, and position yourself as being better than them because you probably are. Your material.
And even if you're not, you can just say it and then sell it that way.
Okay. Your quality is probably a lot better. Ingredients, where everything was sourced. If it's like a supplement or something like that, like, made in the USA, even that as like a, people love, buying US made, like
made in USA. Yeah. Slave labor, cruelty free. There's always ways, right? I'm just sort of throwing stuff out there, but
No, exactly.
What Marissa is saying is market yourself as a better product, and you don't need to change the actual ingredients in the product to market it that way.
Exactly. We got a tip. Thank you.
Thank you, Ada.
Thank you. And then this circling back with only one product when things are set up. Is it necessary to employ an agency after a few months? That depends on kind of your budget and kind of what you're looking to do. I think agencies are great for scaling. But if you're just looking to get somebody, to set you up and get you going, it kind of is dependent too on like how much time you have. Like, are you realistically, you can have quite a few campaigns for 2 SKUs, so do you have the time to effectively manage that and be adding new things and going after new opportunities? So that's kind of my thoughts there.
Yeah, Ada, I don't think there is anymore there's not really a passive like set and forget strategy with Amazon advertising, because it's all derivative on consumer behavior, and consumer behavior is always changing, right? So like, even if you're like out on the ocean and you lower your sails or turn off your motor, yeah, you're not propelling yourself in any given direction, but you're still moving, right? That's kind of how Amazon advertising is. So I would say, in terms of whether you need an agency, that is only going to be something that's profitable for you if you're selling enough to have it at scale, right? So like, if you're selling, it really doesn't matter. That's like more, right? Because complexity, yes, more SKUs equals complexity, but it's more spend really, because that means more campaign types, more things to monitor, update, change, right? So if you're able to manage it and it's growing, you're probably okay. If you, like Marissa says, it depends on sort of what your goals are, right? But I would say you need to back into like, okay, what's my landed cost? How much am I selling? All right, so what am I hoping to make each month, right? What is that costing me in time? What does an agency cost, right? Is the juice worth the squeeze there, right? What I would say for anybody considering an agency is make sure that you have the revenue to support it. Meaning, I would not set up my Amazon page and hire an agency on the same day, right? Because even the best agency is going to be several $1,000s in fees. And if you don't really have a budget to support that type of growth, even the best agency, you're not going to make. So it's not so much once you're up and running, it's how much time is it taking? And is there, do you have enough success to sort of warrant that? But even short of an agency, you can still hire like an individual ad specialist or somebody to come in and look at your stuff for a little bit cheaper, or to give you, right? Like even my Amazon guy and most other agencies have a la carte services, right? Well, they'll do a one-time coaching, they'll do a one-time audit. I know my Amazon guy does one-time audits, right? So there's many options between, gosh, do I have to do this all myself and let me spend $3,000 to $5,000 a month minimum on a full service agency, right? Like,
exactly. There's a lot in between that you can kind of. All right, last question. I think this is going to be a yes, but what are your thoughts on using refined category targeting? And then do you also use expanded product targeting? Pros and cons of each real quick.
Yeah. So yes to both. I do expanded product targeting and I do category. Category, you have to be very careful. I'll say this about category. I almost never just target a category. Meaning if I do category targeting, it's almost always refined, right? I almost always want to refine because I want more control. I don't want to, unless my product is the LeBron James, Michael Jordan of this category, which is very rare, right? There's only one of those. It's a great white buffalo. There's not many of those. If I'm not that, then I don't want to just target the entire category, because if I'm targeting the entire category and I'm not Michael Jordan, guess what I'm targeting? Michael Jordan, right? Like, so I don't want to compete against that guy unless I am that guy, right? So
really being conscious of like your pricing, so you're not going up against people who are very different in price than you. Those people are not your competition, more likely than not. People with like 1 or 2 stars, even like 3 stars, like you don't really want to be going after them. Like
anything under 4 stars, Jaleel, and I don't even think you can advertise. Like 3.9 stars, I think they start to advertise. They start to ad suppress you.
Yeah.
So certainly, I want to target somebody who's more expensive than me and who gets worse customer feedback than me.
Yeah.
Right? So then by comparison, I look sexy.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's all we have time for. Thank you everybody for asking questions. We got off to kind of a slow start, but I was really happy to see all of the questions come through.
Eat.
Yeah. Thanks again, Matt, for joining me.
So good to be back.
My invite. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So happy to be back here, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I did all my plugs at the beginning of the show. So we'll see you next week. Bye.